of the top related artists for The Tallest Man on Earth, a folk singer I happen to like. Did you notice anything about those songs? They all sound good, of course, but they all sound the same. What kind of music do you listen to? What shows do you watch on Netflix? Restaurants that you order from on Seamless? Do you have favorites? Do you keep returning to the same things over and over again? How strongly do you feel about these things? How strongly do your friends and family feel about them? My name's Sam Carmichael, and today I'd like to talk to you about LikeMine. LikeMine is a new way to find more of the things you love based on people like you. Today when we get recommendations, they're often based on passive consumption of sites like Amazon, Netflix, Google, or Facebook. If we like or click on an article that a friend shares, we'll see 3 more duplicates pop up below. They're described as related, but often they're the same story repackaged by a different blog. Our Netflix recommendations get categorized more and more specifically until they seem irrelevant. There are now more than 77,000 individual categories on Netflix. This one's my favorite. And finally, those slippers that you bought on Amazon will continue to follow you across the internet for weeks after you get them in the mail. Now, all of these recommendations are driven by algorithms, which are really smart, until they're really dumb. In this example, Medium sent a jokey email to a writer who had just published a really heartfelt piece about the loss of a loved one. You can see, Shakespeare only got 2 recommends on his first Medium story. Now, for all these reasons, I decided to create a new way to get recommendations, modeled after how we get them in real life, from like-minded people. But I had to do some research to see if this would work. The first thing I did was create a survey. I wanted to see if it was possible to identify trends among a group of my peers. Here are some of the questions I asked them. Now, here's a sample data set from one participant named Emma. These are the restaurants and bars and music and TV shows that she listed in her questionnaire. And here's data from a user named Kelly. When I mapped these data sets side by side, I was able to identify some areas of overlap, seen here outlined in blue. I also saw opportunities for sharing of data. As you can see here, my subjects agreed on 3 restaurants out of 5, which is a pretty great ratio. And I realized that I could recommend the other 2 to each of them. Now, I was pleased to find out that the experiment worked. In this case, Emma had been to Do or Dine restaurant in Bed-Stuy, but hadn't yet tried Carbone, which is another restaurant in Manhattan, and had been meaning to before. So the results motivated her to try something new. I also heard from other respondents that they took the process much more seriously because they knew they would get better recommendations out of it. After the success of this survey, I decided to figure out how I would build this into a scalable, automated system. First, a user, let's call him Colin, inputs a show he likes. In this case, The IT Crowd. It's currently available on Netflix, hilarious, highly recommended. I like it too. That gets added to Colin's account, and his preference also gets marked in the TV show database. Next, he'll add a few other shows which are also connected to his account. Now, this is where most recommendation engines stop. They would show him other shows much like the ones he had already listed. The idea behind LikeMine is to go a little bit further. So it spans multiple categories encompassing anything that Colin likes or shows an affinity for, including restaurants, bands, authors, or directors. The more information that Colin puts in, the better the results that he gets out. Once it captures this initial snapshot of all the things Colin listed, LikeMine takes that list, makes it smaller for some reason, and then begins comparing Colin to all of the other users in the system. Well, other recommendation engines lump these users together to get average them out or to aggregate their results, LikeMine finds the one specific user who has listed most of the same things that Colin has. In this case, Molly. Now, because Colin and Molly have listed so many of the same things, LikeMine can, with some confidence, recommend the things that Molly listed, but Colin didn't. So the lists are compared. And then we find the outliers. Those outliers are outlined here in blue. So imagine in this scenario, because Colin and Molly shared so many similar interests, it stands to reason that he might like Marta Restaurant, the books of Elmore Leonard, and movies by Spike Jonze. Why this matters. LikeMine isn't made to replace recommendation engines. It's meant instead to augment them. So imagine typing in a restaurant and a band that you love, and then getting back an author to read or a movie to watch, because someone out there likes the same things that you do. It could also be useful in a scenario where ratings and reviews are largely broken down, like Seamless. Now, we've all seen it. A lot of reviews on Seamless are vitriolic, overstated, and it makes it much harder to try new places with confidence. If you're anything like me, you've got a few go-to places in your neighborhood because you know what to expect. Here are mine. I live in Park Slope, as you can tell. What if we knew that someone else, a real person in the world, liked the same restaurants that we did, and also these other two? Wouldn't that make you feel more confident in trying a new place? Now, this is what I call a correlated recommendation. Compared to an in-category or related recommendation, a correlated rec spans genres and categories by finding and comparing your list to other like-minded users. Now, LikeMine.io was created to see if this sort of correlated recommendation engine could be automated, and to test the concept with a larger group of users. It's focused purely on music as part of the first phase of development. All you have to do is type a few bands in that you like. I like The Roots. And then, once you're happy with your list, click Submit. The site uses underlying code based on the user matching example you saw earlier. If there's a like-minded user in the system, you'll see all the music that they listed, as well, with the option to preview each artist directly in the browser or on your smartphone. The site is available for mobile users. Now, the first phase of LikeMine is currently online. Since launch, it's attracted 40 users and over 600 unique bands. And I hope that you'll try it out. I really would love to see if it will help you discover more of the things you like from people like you. Thanks.